before. Wage a war against mediocrity. It ain't no friend to me. Wage a war, wage a war, wage a war. Wage a war against mediocrity. It ain't no friend to me. Wage a war, wage a war, wage a war, wage a war against mediocrity. It ain't no friend to me.
What's up out there, friends and family? It's your boy, the motivational teacher to the masses, bringing you again another edition of this Motivational Monday. Wishing you all the best this week. If you would, please go ahead and share this to your top 5 people. I got to tell you, if they're not growing with you, guess what they can't do? They can't go with you. And while you're sharing this with your top 5 relationships, I'll be sharing this with my top 5 relationships as well. So if you get this from me, just know that your boy is looking forward to you succeeding and that you're one of the top 5 people in my circle. And I believe that iron sharpens iron. It's hard for me to have somebody in that circle that we're not either lifting as we climb, or we're not either lifting or we're reaching down, picking somebody up, or somebody's picking us up. I love that circle, that cyclical, that everybody is growing, improving, and getting better. I'm starting to see some people come in the room, man. If you're coming in the room, shout your boy out while I share this out to my top 5 to let them know that I'm going live tonight. Because I know the last 2 weeks I've been on vacation, so your boy hadn't been on here at all. Because I think it's time for everybody to, read, relax, and get some family time in that's uninterrupted. So I've been on, the old day they call it sabbatical. I went on sabbatical. So holla at your boy out there tonight, man. Go ahead, and I'm seeing eyes add up. I see my mom out there on YouTube. Hey, Mom, thanks for joining us. It's new to see you on YouTube. Usually I see you on Facebook. Angelique, the artist. Thank you for joining us this afternoon, the artist. Grand evening, King. Grand evening to you also. I'm starting to see, it look like most of the eyes are YouTube. If you're out there on Facebook, man, shout your boy out to let me know that this is getting out there to Facebook. My notes are trying to fall on me. I'm gonna have to get them. And we about to get ready to get this show started. I got about 1 or 2 more people. Let me send this out to 1 or 2 more people that I know that want to go with me. All right, let's get this show on the road. Hey, thank you, Robert. Thanks for joining us, bro. Thanks for letting me know that Facebook is online. Lamar, what's up, bro? Thank y'all for joining me tonight. Let's get this show on the road. Man, I'm so excited to get back to you all tonight after I've been out the last 2 weeks. I was in Honolulu, Hawaii, sitting on the beach, at the pool, just getting my tan on. Y'all see a brother came back a couple shades darker, but I call it that's that dark chocolate right now. And I'm cool with it. Tonight, for a brief moment, I want to talk about the power of complacency. See, most people don't know that there are other powers that are dictating our results in our life. Most people don't know that seed time and harvest is real. Most people don't know that if I don't plant a seed, a no harvest is real. I'm going somewhere tonight. We're talking about the power of complacency. We look in a time where the top 1.5% controls over 85% of the wealth. Stop and think on that for a minute. The top 1.5% control the majority of the wealth. We're sitting here and we're in the midst of, coming out of COVID. We're in the midst of right now, I think, one of the greatest times to ever be alive with technology. And there's so many of us that have reasons as to why we can't maximize what God has already given us. Tonight, I'm talking about the power of complacency. I know we believe only the things that we work in creates power. Like the power of seed time and harvest, or the power of God that works according to his will in my life, or the power of the 5 things I'm doing that works. But I got to tell you something. Hey, Beverly, thanks for joining us tonight. I got to break bread with you tonight. The power of things that we're not accomplishing also work in our lives. Whether they work for the best or for the worst, believe that all those things are working. I'm about to break bread tonight. That word complacency. Let's give a definition to the root word complacency. Complacency is the state of being satisfied or content with one's current situation. All right. Complacency is the state of being satisfied or content with one situation, achievements, or level of successes to the extent that it leads to a lack of motivation. What's up, Greg? It leads to a lack of motivation or willingness to improve or take action. Wait, motivational teacher. You're talking about the power of complacency, and you're telling me that complacency is a state of being is where I often feel self satisfaction, lack of motivation, or willingness to improve to take action. I believe what I have right now is just good enough. That's complacency. I believe I'm just gonna bake this bread for me and my son, and we gonna die. Complacency. I believe that I got enough money to pay my bills. I got enough money. I got a few pennies in the bank. I think that's all that's all I've been called to for this season in my life. Oh my God, I'm eating high on the hog. I'm where I'm supposed to be. And the motivational teacher to the masses telling you, you are living under the power of complacency. I'm breaking bread right here tonight. To the extent that it leads to a lack of motivation or willingness to improve or take action. Think about it. We talk about having a growth mindset all the time. We always talking about the growth gap from where I am today and where I want to be tomorrow, the growth gap. How do I get there? I begin to grow. But what if I'm complacent? What if I believe that I grew up in a 3-bedroom trailer. It was 8 of us in the 3-bedroom trailer. What if I believe that my double wide is the most I could do because it was more than what I grew up with? What if I believe that I had, when I was growing up, I never really had money in the bank, and now I got $3,000 in the bank. I'm doing good. It's the best I could do, and I start sitting in this place and like, God is moving for me right here in this place. Complacency. Whatever you did yesterday, I can promise you that God wants to 10x it. Because I know a lot of us tend to believe that if I have enough for me and my family, then we're doing well. I know they used to say when I was growing up, get you some life insurance, a 401k, and some health insurance, and you've already been successful in life. But I'm telling you, the power of complacency is real. Let me tell you why I call it the power of complacency. Complacency has so much power that you'll be stagnant and you'll think that that's what God wants for you in this season. Hey, Barbara, thanks for joining us. I'm telling you, complacency has so much power that you will believe that you're sitting in the will of God for your life, and you're eating crumbs from the king's table. Oh my God, I'm gonna break bread tonight. The power of complacency. Complacency has so much power that you'll sit there in a marriage that's mediocre because it looked better than what your friends had across the street. Complacency is so powerful. Come on, Lamar. That it'll have you thinking you on the top of your game and you're nowhere near the pinnacle of what the great I am wants to do with your awakened I am. Speaking to Mike, Angelique, God is about multiplying continuously. The first thing he told a man to do, Homo sapien, is to be fruitful and what? Multiply. The power of complacency will have us thinking that we're sitting in multiplication and all we're sitting in is addition. Oh my God, I just broke bread. We'll sit down in addition, but complacency have us thinking that we're in multiplication because I am comparing where I am to my 5 broke friends that's asking me to borrow money, or I'm comparing where I am to my colleagues that always need advice from me. The power of complacency, and most people don't know that complacency is working. Complacency is a cruel mistress. Oh my God. Complacency will have you take everything you were born with back to the grave. You'll leave with all the good stuff that was putting you from the foundation of the earth. You'll take it right back to the earth with you because you lived a complacent life. I know most people say fear is the reason why most people don't go for their dreams. I'm telling you a brand new story tonight. Fear is not the main reason why people don't go for their dreams. The reason why people don't go for their dreams because they're complacent. I just broke bread. My man Greg just said God wants us to do above and beyond all that we can ask or think. Come on, Greg. But complacency will have us thinking, Greg, that I'm sitting in the seat of more than I can ask or imagine. It's more than what my mama had. It's more than what my grandmama had. It's more than what my sister had. And complacency will always, I'm going to break bread tonight. So if you ain't trying to get better, this ain't the place for you tonight. If you don't have something in your life you think you've been called to more to, you better hang up now. Because if not, you're going to leave here offended if you don't believe I got more on the inside of me. If you sit there and you're easily offended because I'm calling the baby ugly tonight. Complacency is a cruel mistress. We're sleeping with complacency, and we've accepted complacency so much so that me and complacency have become one. My thoughts, my will, my emotions lines up with complacency to the point that I gave up on my dream because I thought I was doing just fine. Oh my God, I'm breaking bread. I'm doing just fine right where I am, but you've been called to the masses. Why accept 100,000, or why accept 30,000? Why not keep driving? Because I know that there's more on the inside of me. And if there's more on the inside of you, Beverly, you tune in to the right channel. If you think your best days are behind you, hang up now. You're going to kill the rest of this message for people that's on here with me. If you believe your best days were back there when you were in high school, or when you were working that job back then, or when you were married to that spouse, or if you think your best days are behind you, this is the wrong place to be tonight, because I'm coming to wake up greatness. And before I can even speak to your greatness, I got to speak to complacency, because there's a greatness on the inside of you that will hear the words that I'm speaking and buy in somewhat, but complacency will say, no, he ain't talking about you. You've done all you can do. Look how hard. Look what you've given up to be here today. Look how much you fought to get here today. Look how many friends walked away from you to be here today. Look how many, and you'll sit there and complacency will give you 27 reasons why he ain't talking to me today. And I'm telling you right now today, your boy is live and lit. I'm telling you today that we're going to talk right there to complacency. The power of complacency. Come on, Beverly. I got prophesied, Beverly. I got more on the inside of me. Just fine is not what God wants. Come on, Angelique. Just fine just won't do. I mean, the sacrifice that, Angelique, you sent me here. The sacrifice that God gave, the seed is always within itself. The sacrifice God gave is greater than welfare. Just doing fine, welfare, faring well. The seed that he sowed, that's my salvation, soteria, nothing missing, nothing lacking, wholeness and soundness sound like more than just fine to me. So if I came so that you can have life and have it more abundantly, why in the world am I allowing complacency to allow me to sleep in the hog's pen and eat the hog's food when I know my dad is a king? When I know I got DNA inside of me that's called me more than a conqueror, but complacency will tell me I've lived my best days behind me. For you all coming on late, our definition of complacency is the state of being satisfied or content with one's current situation, achievements, or level of success to the extent that it leads to a lack of motivation or a lack of willingness to improve or to take action. It often involves feeling a sense of satisfaction where individuals or groups become overly confident in their abilities or their status quo, believing that there's no need for further change, further effort, or further change. I'm going to tell you like this. The moment, I'm going to say it. The moment, come on, thank you, Lamar. The moment you start believing that there's nothing more to you than what you see in the mirror is the moment you truly start your process of dying. I'm going to say that again. The moment you look in the mirror and you believe this is all I can be, it's the moment you create the process of death. The moment you start thinking that I've accomplished, or I've done all I can do, or I fought the good fight of faith, I've done all I can do, is the moment you create the process of death. Remember, everything under the sun has a what? Purpose. There's a season for everything. The moment you believe that there's nothing left, bam, you start the process of dying, because for everything underneath the sun, there's a purpose. And the people that begin to, I'm gonna say it like, oh, killing yourself softly. It's by looking in that mirror. We talk about depression and anxiety, and we talk about all these different areas of our lives where we struggle. The reason is because I look in the mirror and I don't see anything greater than what's looking back at me. The moment you start seeing greater in the mirror and you start stripping complacency of its power in your life, it's the moment where I start seeing, like Kurt Franklin say, a brighter day. I can't see a brighter day because I need a brighter me. If I only see myself as the version of the person where yesterday left behind, oh my God, that's a bread breaking moment. I only see myself as a version of yesterday where life is taking me through the ringer. I'll never be able to outperform that vision of yesterday today, or either tomorrow in the future. My presence is torn apart because of what I saw in the past. And the moment I look in the mirror and I say, man, your best days are behind you. You look in the mirror and say, man, I'm all that I can be, or I'm all that I was supposed to be, is the moment you start the process of death in your life. Because what you're telling yourself is that there's no more purpose in my life. That's why I know my mom just retired. I'm going to use this example. That's why when you retire, what retirement actually should mean is that I've done all the 40 hours that it needs to sustain my life. And now I can begin to live my life on purpose, not just on the weekends and after 8 to 5, but now I can live every day of my life on purpose, on God's purpose, on my purpose for my life, or the reason I've been given to this earth. I think for me, I work in my purpose every day. I ain't gonna lie, I would never work for a company or organization where it does not lend me to improve my skill set as it related to the reason I was put in the earth. Come on, man. I'm breaking bread right now. I see some of y'all out there quiet, man. I know I'm breaking better bread than what y'all talking back to me right now. I see my mama, Lamar, Angelique, talking back to me out there. Some more y'all out there listening that need to be talking back to yourself in these chat boxes. Need to be talking to yourself in this chat box. Sometimes you gotta write that thing down with your finger so you can read it with your own eyes and see your name next to it in order to wake some things up on the inside of you. And this creates a record of your conversation to yourself. You think, man, the one reason why I love, and when I was gone, I missed it so much, because these videos create a record for me to know where I was spiritually, mentally, and physically in this moment in time. It creates a record. And when I look in the mirror and I know there's more to this story, when I look in this mirror and I sit there and I think about the messages that I did 7 years ago compared to the messages that I do, I said, God is still working, because I can see the improvement, that there's been no stagnation, that there's growth, which means that complacency has not settled in. And for some of you all, you need to get in the chat box. You need to get in this chat box and talk to yourself. The artist said, breaking bread and breaking chains. I need to see a brighter me, or else the process of death begins. Oh, okay. Angelique, I'm going to give you an example. Exactly. And you know, y'all, I talk biblically and I talk natural examples. But for this one, I want to use biblically, because this is when death entered the earth. At what point did Eve and Adam start to die? Oh my God, that's a bread breaking moment. That is a bread breaking moment if I've ever had one. At what moment did Adam and Eve begin to die? It was the moment when she told herself, if we eat from the tree, we will be like God. That's when she looked in the mirror and said, I'm not enough. I must need something else outside of God's purpose and plan in order to accomplish the goals in my life. And so she took the words of a serpent and gave them to Adam, and we all sin. Why? Because the version of who she saw herself wasn't enough to accomplish the goal. And anytime you look in the mirror, I'm telling you right now, and you've heard me say this, I'm so far off my notes, and you've heard me say this so many times, that anything that I lack, I can what? Grow. Anything that I lack, I can grow. So when I look in the mirror, When I look in the mirror, I see somebody who's fully capable of attaining everything he needs to draw greatness from within to outside. When I look in the mirror, come on, man. When I look in the mirror, I'm not looking at the scars of yesterday. All I see is the ability to create, the ability to learn, the ability to grow into whatever the next phase of my life is. The power of complacency. Complacency will have some of us to look in that mirror, and all we see are the scars that once were. The scars have healed up. You have new skin tissue over the scars, and most of us still can't see ourselves without those scars. Because those scars give us the ability to stay average and to live in complacency. See, I can't accomplish that goal, that dream. Look at this scar. Look at this scar right here. This scar is the reason why I can't accomplish his goals and his dream. And that scar, 20 years old, and you can barely see it. It's so faded that you can't even tell what happened there. But we keep reminding ourselves of old past scars in order to provide a future reason as to why I am complacent. My daddy didn't love me. You scratching the wound. It ain't no wound there anymore. There's no wounds there anymore. My daddy didn't love me. There's no wound there anymore. It was 25 years ago. You've healed from it. Well, when I was on my way to leadership, to management, to start my own business, somebody stole $20,000 from me. There's not a scar there anymore. It was 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. And we're creating and rehashing and creating a new scar to explain why my future results are not where they're supposed to be. The power of complacency. Our mind will create a story to fit the narrative that we need to be complacent when you're not waging war on complacency. Complacency have killed more dreams than fear ever has. You heard it here from the motivational teacher to the masses. Complacency has killed more dreams than fear ever has. Oh, I fear false evidence appearing real, and we got all these faith over fear. Forget fear. Complacency is your true enemy. Why? You don't have no reason to fear when you're complacent. You have no reason to believe that there's more when I think that this is the best it can be. Complacent. I ain't got to work on this marriage for what? My marriage better than my friends. Complacency. I'm breaking bread tonight. Complacency can be observed in different aspects of our life, such as personal development, work, our home relationships with our kids, even socially. When people become complacent, they stop striving to improve, grow. I love this word, innovate. They stop trying to innovate. They stop chasing greatness. They lead to stagnation, missed opportunities, and missed advancement. Why, motivational teacher? Why? Because I'm no longer pursuing something greater than what I have. I love the fact, man, that I look at some of the most successful people in the world. I look at Michael Jordan, who's very successful by every means, by every opportunity, but he's still pressing, trying to create more. Steve Jobs, until the last day he died, was working. Elon Musk, who's halfway crazy in his mind, but I see he has enough money that if he wanted to retire and live on a yacht, wherever he wanted to go, he can, but he's still creating. Why? There's no complacency. There's something greater. Like they see that their lives are attached to something more than the resources they need. Most of us attach our life, attach our purposes to our purpose to just the resources that we need. We think we've made it because of the resources. You see the Oprahs and the Elon Musk and the Michael Jordans and the Steve Jobs of the world. They push until they go to the grave. But most of us who haven't had much, we think our purpose and everything is tied to our resources. Oh, I'm gonna break bread tonight. I got enough. Ain't nobody never had enough in my family. These people that are excellent in what they, Tyler Perry, he's still producing movies, although he has enough money that he don't ever have to produce another movie. Why? Because he's always believed that there's something greater, there's innovation that needs to take place, and he wants to be on the forefront of that innovation. But most of us, well, I'm now the manager of the plant. we stop pushing. We stop pushing. Well, right now, they call me boss on the job. Well, right now, I just wrote my first book. Well, write two. Write the next one. And we stop pressing and we stop pushing. We stop striving for growth and innovation, and it leads to stagnation. And we wake up 5 years on what's this date? On July 24th, 2027. What year is 2023? 2028. We wake up 5 years and our life looks the exact same. Why? Complacency equals stagnation. And in 5 years, inflation is going to be a beast. Whatever you're making right now in 5 years is going to seem like 70% of that. But we'll be saying, like I did, I look and we'll be blaming somebody else. I'm telling you, man, we got to get beyond stagnation. We got to move beyond the place to where, I don't know, man. Like I wish, like these are words that change lives. And sometimes I just wish, man, that I could really, and maybe God, one day you give me the avenue to where we can sit down and we can look and we can have candid conversations to where I think these messages are good, but I think there are greater opportunities for us to incorporate thought into the words that we speak. What do you mean, motivational teacher? You hear me speaking about complacency, but I need for you really to not just listen to what I say, but listen to the words underneath my voice that the great I am is speaking to you. Because I do believe that there in each one of our lives, there's some area where we become complacent. I just broke bread. Whether you want to admit it, whether you want to you want to excuse it, whether you want to place blame on it, but there are all sometimes in all of us, there are areas in our life where we have started to become complacent, where once we were fire hot and now we're lukewarm in those areas that are very important to our destiny and to our happiness, and our life starts to be a reflection of those areas of complacency. And complacency is like poison ivy. If you get it in one area and you blink and you're not intentional in your thinking, it'll be in the other area of your life before you know it. I tell my sons every morning, make your bed, clean your room, straighten your room, brush your teeth, wash your face. The moment I see that they start forgetting that, I know that they're neglecting other areas in their life, the schoolwork, their training, they're reading, they're right. I know that they're neglecting other areas of your life because, man, let me tell you something about this mind. What I know, that an engaged mind create patterns. Oh my God, that's a bread breaking moment. An engaged mind create positive patterns that get you to where you want to be. And I know when Christian doesn't brush his teeth, or Christian doesn't wash his face, or Christian doesn't put lotion on his face, I can tell you already when my kids get the basketball training in the afternoon, I can tell you how their day went at school. Because if they're locked in and engaged doing basketball practice, I know they were locked in and they were engaged during school. If they're playful in practice, I know they were playful in school. Complacency is the same way. I can look at your life. If you're super loose in areas of your life, I can promise you that you're super loose in other areas of your life. I just broke bread. Somebody need to create a reel and share that. I just broke bread. That you cannot reproduce anything more than what you are. If you're super loose in one area of your life, you're going to be super loose in other areas of your life. Let me go ahead and tell you that right now. Well, I can slip and cheat just a little bit. No, you start slipping and cheating in this area, guess what's going to happen? You're going to find other areas you can slip and cheat in. You'll find yourself cheating the time. Like, well, I'm leaving work 15 minutes early today. Next, you'll find yourself claiming somebody else's kid on your taxes. Next, you'll find yourself doing some other stuff. Why? Because you're becoming loose and complacency have slipped in, and you no longer start to see those areas of your life connected to your destiny. And you believe I could cheat a little bit. You believe I can scheme just a little bit. You believe I just can get by just a little bit. And the great I am is only concerned with your maturation and growth as a human being, not your emotions, not your needs. Man, I'm breaking bread today. Y'all can tell I missed y'all today. Angelique said I had to remind myself of that during my yoga practice the other day. Angelique, I had to remind myself of that this morning. I was playing racquetball in the gym and my toe was hurting so bad. And it would have been so easy for me just to say, okay, I'm done for the day. But no, my standard is I said I was going to go in for 45 minutes. I'm going to do 45 minutes. I might not can't do it at 100%, but if I'm doing it all 45 at 70%, because that's the commitment I made to myself. I would not allow myself to be complacent, even in being uncomfortable. It's a bread-breaking moment. I will not allow myself to be complacent, even when I'm uncomfortable. That's a bread-breaking moment. Motivational teacher, you talk 30 minutes about this complacency. I realize I have areas in my life that I need to work on with complacency, motivational teacher. How do I do it? Overcoming complacency involves recognizing its presence. I think number one, right there, like any area of your life where you do not incorporate thought will have diminishing returns. Any area of your life that you do not incorporate thought will have diminishing returns. Let me break bread, motivational teacher. If I'm married and I have a spouse, and if I'm not engaged in the relationship with my spouse, meaning understanding mood swings, meaning trying to understand the day of the work, meaning trying to understand what was the ask today of that person, the sacrifice they had to make that day. If I'm not engaged mentally in that relationship, I'm going to miss something detrimental to that relationship. And eventually, that relationship will begin to wane if I stack days of not being intentional and not incorporating thought into that relationship. It's just a matter of time before that relationship just wanes. It reaches the law of diminishing returns. It's just a matter of time. Why? Because my thought is not incorporated in what I'm doing in that relationship. Let's use it. If I'm with my kids, and I'm with my kids and I'm always preoccupied by work or TV or whatever the other pleasures of life, it's just a matter of time before you start losing those kids. Why? Because I'm not incorporating thought. What's up, Q? I'm not incorporating thought. I'm not recognizing the presence of what's going on. Well, I didn't know that my spouse was that fed up. Why? Because you were not engaged mentally. There was no thought being applied to the conversations that you were having with your spouse. There are no thought being applied to the conversations that you're having with your kids. How do they feel? I don't know, because I hear them, but I don't hear them because there's no application of thought into what I'm listening to. Yeah, I'm breaking bread right now. If you're going to overcome complacency, I can promise you it is going to require thought. Somebody get in the chat box for me and write that. If you're going to overcome complacency, you're going to have to incorporate thought. I'm breaking bread right now. What does thought do for our life? And now I'm completely off my notes. What does thought do in our lives? As a man thinketh, so is he. Once you begin to incorporate thought, so are you. If you're not thinking about an area, you don't even know that area is controlling your life. I just broke bread. If you're not in thought about, like, I know one scientist, we make 245,000 unconscious decisions a day or week. We make that many decisions with no thought. What does unconscious mean? That means we're making it without any thought. If I'm going to do anything above average, if I'm going to be excellent or elite in anything in my life, thought will have to be at the forefront of that conversation. I'm breaking bread right now. Thought will have to be at the forefront. As a man thinketh, so is he. If you want to change who you are, think it first. As a man, oh my God, my marriage is on the rocks. If I want to change my marriage from being on the rocks to being a blissful place. As a man thinketh, so is he. I incorporate thought around what I want from my marriage, and I begin to work at what I want from my marriage. Oh my God, I'm breaking bread. If I want to be a person that wants friends, or that I just ain't got no positive relationships around my life, if I want positive relationships in my life, I got to start thinking more about positive relationships and what do they look like. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. If I want more money in my life, if I want more resources in my life, I got to stop saying what I don't have, and I got to start acknowledging and incorporating thought about what I do have. And God, you told me to be fruitful and multiply. Help me multiply. That's a bread breaking moment right there. Any area where there is no thought life, where there is no thought in that area of your life, can be no more than mediocre. You don't stumble your way to greatness. Somebody better get in that doggone chat box. You don't stumble your way to greatness. Now, I'll be honest, just by human nature, average is calling you. I can promise you. That's why he said narrow is the way, because you don't stumble your way to greatness. Greatness requires more thought and more attention to detail than what most people in this world is willing to commit to. We talk about how to overcome complacency. Continuously setting new goals. Like I think so many of us live lives where we don't have what like most of us live lives like, what do I have pulling me? What do I have where it's pushing me toward my calling? Most of us are just being pulled by the demands of our day. But what do I have that's pushing me? I got to pay my bills. That's pulling you. I gotta do this. I gotta go do that. That's pulling you. What do you wake up for excited about in the morning? That's what's pushing you. That's giving you life. That's what makes you think that tomorrow is worth living, because I got this pulling me toward it. It's a bread breaking moment right there. What's pulling you? What in your life do you have that's pulling you? That's why if your goals are not forefront, they're not center, what else is pulling you? Like, I'll be honest, man. Like, this is me. I'm a bread breaker. And I'm going to always tell you the truth, at least my version of it. I ain't saying that my version is the only version or is the right version, but however it is, my version. And so this is what I got. So I think, all right, I'm going to go there. I think a lot of times, humans, we find distractions in order for us not to have to really engage in our own life and be able to really answer the question of why am I not where I think I need to be. And I think we as humans, we create distractions to keep us away from the real conversation that we need to be having. Come on, Q, this rated R right here, baby. It ain't 4 of them though. Yours are really 4 R, Q. This one, my 1.5, and this is a 1.5 R. But most of us run from conversations with ourselves because we have to acknowledge who the true person is. Like, there's a version of us that we show to the world. There's a version of us that we show to our spouse. There's a version of us that we show to our colleagues. There's a version of us that I show to my kids, but only me know who the true version is. And most of us create distractions and aversions from me having to commit to the thought work that it requires for me to get to the next level in life. And so I remain complacent because it'll cost me too many tears to get out of where I am today to walk in my tomorrow. It'll cost me too much personal work to get out of where I am today to where I want to be tomorrow, because I'm hidden behind these shadows and these masks of who people think I am. But when I go to bed at night, I know who I am. And in order for us, the power to break the influence of complacency, we got to start going into some of them rooms that we've locked. Because the reason why most of us can't have positive relationships, because we've gone in a room because of a negative relationship and we've locked the doors on positive relationships, and we don't even know why we locked. Well, we know why we locked them, but we don't know we permanently hindered positive relationships from entering into our space. Why? Because I'm running from the conversation with myself. It's always me versus me. It ain't that every time I want a relationship, this person come, that person. No, it's always me versus me. Some of us need to start going into these dark closets and start having these conversations with ourselves and say, I got to move beyond average. I got to move beyond broke. I got to move beyond poverty. I got to move beyond sickness and disease. I got to move beyond unbelief and lack. I got to move beyond anxiety, depression. I gotta move beyond these things. And the only way I can really move beyond these things, I gotta go face some of them demons or some of them experiences from my past to understand how I got here. Complacency leads to stagnation. It leads to any area in your life where you feel that it's important and it's stagnant. Complacency, not fear. Complacency is somewhere in the midst. That lack of motivation or the lack of willingness to push yourself beyond status quo. This will hinder everything that you're supposed to have on this earth. And I'm gonna break bread. Every enemy that you don't, come here, David and Solomon, every enemy that you do not slay, your kids will fight that enemy in the near future. My dad didn't know his dad. I'm gonna break bread right now. My dad didn't know his dad. I knew who my dad was, but my dad did not grow up in the house with me, and he was sometime off and on. I love him for who he is and the genes and the love that he gave me the best way he knew how. But I was determined not to have AJ and Christian go through life having to overcome my demons or my family demons or my dad's demon or my dad's demon. I'm not gonna have them find those generational curses when I know I'm David in the earth for my generation. I know I might not be able to build a temple, boy, but it's going to be a whole lot of blood on these hands because I'm breaking every curse that I can so AJ and Christian will not have to encounter that same curse. Every place that you're stagnant in your life, your next generation will have to come and slay that same generational curse. I'm breaking bread up in here tonight. Somebody better holler at your boy. In the moment, I do anything for my kids. Well, move beyond complacency for your kids. Well, I go to the cross. If God had told me, Abraham, to take Isaac up to that cross, I would have took Isaac up to that cross. Oh, would you please? Come on, man. Okay, now he's asking you to overcome complacency and stagnation so your children won't have to do it. He said, hey, I need for you to sacrifice thought life. I need for you to sacrifice to start getting a thought life to overcome stagnation in your genealogy with finances or in your genealogies with health or in your genealogy to believe they could do more. I need you to start fighting those generational curses of stagnation, of complacency in order to get your generation to the next level. And man, like we sit there and we read them stories about how God gave his only begotten son and there was a lamb in the bush and he offered up this one and that one offered up that one. All I'm asking you is, okay, if you believe that you are from that same generation, that same seed, then begin right now. Eric, these kids are so intuitive. These kids know everything that's going on in our life without us saying a word. Overcome poverty, overcome debt, overcome lack. And I promise you, your next generation will appreciate you for it because there's one lesson that they won't have to fight. I love it. Offer up complacency. Yeah, we read Abraham took Isaac, he started up the mountain, there was a ram in the thicket. How you know? Your ram in the thicket might be a promotion that you didn't even know that gave you enough money to pay your kids' college cash. It could be the fact that there's a business on the inside of you that's meant to change your generation forever and ever. It could be that diabetes that has run in your family from sin. My grandmama, my great-grandmama, they all had it. But you might be the one that if it started from one person in your family, you could be the new one person in your family that talk about that destroys diabetes from your genealogy or hypertension. You could be the one that destroys all that negativity from your family by one man's sacrifice. Offer up complacency. Complacency leads to missed opportunities. Complacency leads to missed opportunities. And the thing with complacency, and I'm gonna say the problem with complacency is you don't even how the song said, you don't miss what you ain't never had. Oh, that's the problem with complacency. You don't miss what you've never had. So you don't even strive or even try to make up for the missed opportunity because you don't know what you missed because you ain't never had it. I'm telling you right now, complacency have killed many more dreams than fear ever could. Complacency leads to decreased performance. Complacency negatively impact your performance and productivity. When you become comfortable, your level of achievement diminishes. And the problem with that diminishing is you don't even know. You've bought the lie that this is all I can be, this is all I can do, this is all who I am. The moment you bought the lie of this is all who I am is the moment you settle in complacency. We don't realize the power that complacency carries over our life. Complacency leads to a loss of competitiveness. You know, I just think in this world, man, that if there's something that if there's something definitely that you think you've been called to or that's been offered to you from the foundation of earth, or is there something you want naturally, whether it's business, a great relationship, whatever it is, you will have to wage war on mediocrity. I can promise you one thing, is just not going to happen. People, I said it earlier, people don't stumble into greatness. Greatness requires a multitude of intentionality, like a loss of competitiveness. And when I say competing, I mean it's always me versus me. It's not me versus Q. It's not me versus Angelique. It's not me versus Lamar. It's not me versus ET. It's not me versus Tim Grover. It's always me versus me. And if I lose that competitive nature and begin to rest on my behind, then the devil doesn't have to fight me. I sacrifice my own success. Like, oh, the enemy trying to fight me over this. The enemy doesn't need to fight you over anything. When you become complacent, his job is over. You will do it to yourself at that moment. Well, I can't get promoted. Why are you complacent? You look like the rest of everybody else on the job. Well, my marriage ain't getting better. No, it ain't getting better because you're doing nothing more in it than when it was bad. Then it's bad now. You're doing less in it now that it's going worse. You're complacent. Well, my kids, they just see students. Why? Because they sit there and they watching you become complacent, and you have reproduced a complacent seed. Why? That's why I'm trying to tell you, if you don't wage war against it, they're going to have to fight it later. And then their grandchildren are going to have to fight it again. And then their children's going to have to fight it again. Why? Because you didn't take the bull by the horns. No, let me say it this way, because y'all church folk. Because you didn't start up the mountain with the lad to worship. Like, we don't know what ram is in the bush because I'm not willing to move beyond complacency to even start to climb a mountain to think that there's more at the top. Motivational teacher. You just don't know how bad it's been for me and in my life. Motivational teacher, you don't realize the losses that I've taken in my life. Motivational teacher, you don't realize, man, listen, not for me to sound insensitive, because, man, I really empathize. And some of these people, I know him personally. I really empathize and I sympathize. I have empathy for what you all are going through. And I think some of the things that you all have been through, I think no man should have to go through those, at least not alone. I think that in life, you know, storms are going to come, storms are going to go, not to desensitize from whatever has happened in your life. I'm not trying to desensitize you from whatever that is that's taking place in your life, but I am saying that you can get through it. I am saying that you're strong enough to get through it. I am saying that there's more to you than even what you see. And a lot of times we don't know how strong we are until strength is our only answer. That's a bread-breaking moment. A lot of times we don't know how strong we are until strength is our only answer. And in those moments is when you see one set of footprints. It's not when you're walking alone, but that's the point where he's carrying you. And some of us are so afraid of walking alone that we don't believe that we can be carried. When you're weak, then am I strong? And some of us will never know that kind of strength because I'm not vulnerable enough to be weak. I'm not vulnerable enough to be weak, so that I never know my true power. I never know my true strength. I'll never start up to worship knowing that there's a ram in the bush. I don't mind, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my God, I've been on this thing almost an hour. I don't, oh my God, I gotta say this. I'm learning to enjoy moments when I don't have an answer. I'm starting to enjoy moments when I know I don't have the capability. And I'm this gonna sound nuts. And I'm putting myself in more and more situations where I know that I appear vulnerable. You all know I work for a Fortune 100 company that we partner, and I do people development, and I'm excellent, one of the best in the company, a Fortune 100 company at people development. And I took a job to do something completely different. Scary. I'm like, man, I'm gonna try something completely different. I went from being the best to like the lowest amount of knowledge on the totem pole. I did it because when I'm weak, then am I strong. When I know the least is when I have access to when I know the least amount of knowledge is when I have access to the most to the most amount of knowledge. I only know I possess a growth mindset, not when I'm strong in something, but when I'm weak and I can grow myself to average, and then I can grow myself to above average, and then I can grow myself to excellent. Why motivational teacher? Because I need these moments to let me know that God still moves. And no matter where you are or what situation you're in your life, God still moves. I need for you to know that today, that you're afraid to put yourself out there because you're afraid of what might happen, or you feeling like the imposter syndrome, or you're feeling like a fraud. But I'm telling you right now, like, man, you don't know how strong you are until strength is your only thing, because now you're not fighting with just your power. Now the great I am has awakened your I am to a power that's much greater than what you ever knew was working in your life, according to the power that works in us. Come on, man. The power of complacency. Let's move beyond this place and know that greater is on the other side. When I look in the mirror, this is not a finished product. When I look in the mirror, I know that whatever I lack, I can grow. And I do know that if God be for me, who can be against me? Y'all, it's your boy, the motivational teacher to the masses. I mean, I'm so happy to be back this Monday night. I got through a page and 2 points of my notes. So I'll probably be hitting this again because I do believe that complacency is our true enemy. Like, I believe that after we become complacent, we need no other hindrances in our life. We've began to live the life of complacency, then we've given up on our goals and our dreams, and we've settled into status quo. And I know that there's greatness on the inside of the people that are watching this show. Thank you, Angelique. Deeply powerful share today. Much love. Appreciate you, bro. Thank you so much, Angelique, for sharing those words of encouragement. Mike said amen. Beverly said amen. I appreciate you all sharing those words of encouragement. But I need for you to know that the power of complacency is real. Whether you see the results or you don't, complacency is costing you something. And until next time, I am challenging you to wage war on mediocrity. Your boy is out.
It ain't no friend to me. Wage a war, wage a war, wage a war, wage a war against mediocrity. It ain't no friend to me. Wage a war, wage a war, wage a war.